Welcome back to Fearox Movie Reviews. Today, we're going to talk about a martial arts system. Yes, figure might as well talk about something particular. Originally I wanted to talk about martial arts in general, but I've been thinking long and hard lately. So for the next several videos, I'm going to be talking about different subjects, but today's subject I'm going to talk about a martial arts system. One that's very popular. One that's actually very popular, and of course was a huge hit in the 80s and 90s, even though technically a lot of people who used it in the movies used a completely different martial arts system altogether. Go figure. And I used to study a couple of styles of this martial arts system, and I may actually go back to it one of these days. Just been thinking along I'm hard, and I'm probably going to do it. Today we're going to talk about karate. Yes, karate. Karate is one of the most popular fighting systems in the world. You see it in the movies, you see it on television, you see it in books, you see it in DVD, you see it in DVD. You see it all over the place, man. Karate has been around for a very long time. It's been around for a long time, and well, it didn't get fully popular to the public eye until the '60s, and people started using it in the '70s a lot more and more, and it was vastly popular in the '80s and '90s, thanks to movies and television, of course. But in the 2000s, it started to fade out a little bit, though. But some people still wound up using it regardless. And during the last decade or so, it started making a bit of a comeback in popularity. And also in Europe, there was actual variations of karate that were used in sports fighting, like combat sports. Today there's karate combat, which is a lot like MMA, except it's all karate based, with some exceptions of people using sanda, which is come from kickboxing, and taekwondo. All right, the only other variation I see that can be used is Tong Sudo, which is a lot like karate. All right, not like taekwondo. All right, and I'm not saying like taekwondo is like bad or anything, but taekwondo is a lot of people tend to use taekwondo to substitute for karate in movies, which is ridiculous, but it does happen. It does actually happen. Well, let me tell you the story of how I got into karate when I was a little kid. I was very hyper. I was a very hyperactive little kid. ADHD and all. Born in the late '80s, growing up in the '90s. You know, I was very hyper. I was very hyper attentive back then, and I've actually matured as time went on. As far as my attitude was concerned, my hyperness actually went down a lot, as well as my stress and anxiety again going up higher. Utterly ridiculous. But earlier in the '90s, I actually was introduced to karate. Yeah, as a way, I started watching Ninja. As in I watched the Ninja Turtles, Batman, the Tim Burton Batman film, which was freaking awesome, by the way. And let's see, the original Adam West Batman show, which actually had elements of karate in it, though, because well, let's face it, like what do you think Batman and Robin were using back then? And of course, the ever popular and beloved fan favorite, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Go Power Rangers, my man. Yes, Go Power Rangers. Those were all my introductions to karate, in a sense. So, when I was younger, my parents actually enrolled me in karate for a while, for a couple of years, and I actually was really good at it. I actually started to enjoy it more and more and more. However, and not gonna lie, I actually wound up getting my yellow. I actually got up to yellow belt, going into my orange belt testing. I was going to go for orange belt testing, but unfortunately, my parents decided to do something different for me with my hyperactiveness, and I wound up going into sports instead. I mean, I do like sports, but I really miss karate a lot. I still had I had an at-home karate VHS tape that my sensei gave me for all the other students, so we actually do karate practice. We actually practice the basic karate moves at home. And I'm not gonna lie, I actually use that tape all the time. Like every Saturday, I use that tape while I was growing up. But as time went on, well, I lost the tape eventually, and I couldn't actually find it. And here's the thing: when I was younger, I didn't know what the style of karate was that I studied back then. And it was very recently I discovered what the style was after all these years. What was it? I'll tell you. I'll tell you a little bit later. Now, to be fair, I did actually do a little bit more karate. It was about over 10 years ago. It was about over 10 years ago when I was in college, and one of the gyms I was going to actually had a small little karate dojo inside of it that actually had a boxing gym and also had karate lessons in it as well. Although I'm not too sure what the style was, I'm pretty sure it was actually it was a variation of Shotokan, and I still use some of those moves in my kickboxing workouts to this day. So, just to clarify my martial arts systems that I've been using over the year, that I actually was exposed to over the years. First one was karate. Then it was street fighting slash street fighting and pro wrestling a little bit though. Just mix those two together. Boxing and Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and I also was back to boxing and along with karate again. And to this day, I still use the kickboxing altogether. But I've been thinking about going back to karate for a long time. But enough about that. Let's talk about a brief history about karate real quick, though. A lot of people call karate a martial arts system. That's just a simple karate system. It's not simple at all. No, it's not. It's complicated. As a matter of fact, what many people don't know is that karate is actually a mixed martial art itself. But nowadays, with mixed martial arts actually becoming a dominant thing in combat sports, yeah, karate is a massive mixed martial art, and nobody noticed it for a long time. Allow me to explain this. The brief history of the martial art actually originates in the small Ryukyuan kingdom inside of the island nation of Okinawa, which is now part of Japan. But back then, it was called the Ryukyuan Kingdom, and the martial arts system they had back then was called Tei. Yeah, Tei. All right. As what the style looks like, well, to be fair, there's a ton of karate styles, but the closest one that comes to it, and the closest karate system that comes to that is actually Shurite. Just saying. At least that's what I was able to figure out. Anyway, the Ryukyuan Kingdom actually wound up doing a lot of trading, trading herbs, spices, wares, and goods as far as Java. And they did a lot of trading in China. And here's a fun fact. The Chinese traders also traded knowledge on martial arts as well, because they were actually curious about the native martial arts system of Tei, and so they also added in elements of Kung Fu in it. And the martial art practitioners in the kingdom actually mixed the two styles together and made a new martial art system called Kodutei, which means Chinese hand. And it was the dominant martial arts system in the area for a long while. That is until Japan invaded the Ryukyuan Kingdom by the Satsuma clan of samurai, and the Ryukyuan King and all the Kodutei fighters were introduced to Well, introduced to Japanese jiu-jitsu. Yes. And also ninjutsu as well, because because the ninjas also came along with the side with the samurai too. So now, sadly, sadly, as time went on in the Ryukyuan kingdom, the kingdom eventually fell, and eventually in the 1800s, Japan officially made the Okinawan Islands part of the Japanese mainland, of the Japanese nation. So the Okinawans decided to actually make the martial arts system more Japanese, and and because of that, they actually integrated jujitsu and taijutsu, and even and ninjutsu within Kodate, thus calling it karate instead, which means open hand. Yep, go figure on that one. Yeah. So just to clarify, karate uses the martial arts systems of the Okinawan system known as Tei, elements of Chinese Kung Fu, Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, and elements of Ninjutsu are also in there as well. Wrap your head around that one. I keep saying that there's plenty of karate styles, a lot. So, yeah, there's plenty of them. I mean, I actually got a couple of books on them right now. Like, most popular one is Shotokan. And this one has got this is an old military special forces one that uses karate and taekwondo, and this one is based upon American karate, also known as Kempo karate, right? But how many styles are there? There's lots, actually. There's lots, and there's actually subdivisions of those styles, which is like crazy, and of course variations of styles, which I could just name maybe several of them off the top of my head real quick. Shotokan, Shorin Ryu, Gogaijuru, Wada Ryu, Shurite, Shitori, Shitoryu, Chito Ryu, let's see, Kempo Karate, Enshin style, Enshin, Kyokushin, Ashiwara, and Shidokan, and there's like, and of course one hybrid system called Kudo, which is like crazy in itself. Yeah, like I said, there's lots of styles out there. All right. And keep this in mind, I grew up in North New Jersey, so the most popular style that's in the area, even to this day, is still Shotokan style karate. Hence why I have a book on it. Right? And I look around at several martial art dojos. Like the only martial art systems I can find that's not Shotokan, that's in the area, particularly like I found like maybe a Gogai Jiru gym. There's Taekwondo gyms all over the place, and well, Taekwondo is not considered karate, even though it's used a lot in karate. But here's a bit of a fun fact about Taekwondo. All right, Taekwondo is actually based off of a martial. Is actually based off of another martial arts system called Tang Sudo. And Tang Sudo was actually the martial arts system that Chuck Norris actually studied when he was in Korea. So yeah, he studied Tang Sudo and also branched off into Taekwondo and branched off into the other martial arts systems. But Tang Sudo in particular is legitimately karate itself. Even though it's Korean, it's actually known as Korean karate. And it's basically a variation of Shotokan. So, yeah, technically Tang Sudo is Shotokan is a Korean variation of Shotokan. The moves are identical and everything. So if it looks like it's Shotokan, it's clear, but it's Korean, it's clearly Tang Sudo. And also, Shotokan was also one of the basis forms for Taekwondo, which itself is just crazy. Like I said, you can find karate all over the place, too. And obviously, the one karate system I keep finding that's in several dojos and all over the area is clearly Shotokan. And if you ever watch those Tiger Showman's commercials from like way back in the 90s and the 2000s, what do you think the martial arts system was they were using? It was Shotokan. Yeah. Why? Because, well, the symbol for Shotokan is clearly a tiger. So Tiger Showman, so Shotokan. All right, and they still use karate in their curricula today. So do the math on that one. But still, aside from all that, you can find karate just everywhere, especially in this video footage I've been using lately too, which is actually just a bunch of random footage of uh, random gaming footage because it's a lot in video games all over the place. But for some reason, the one style that's always used is Kyokushin, because Kyokushin is clearly the style that you see in kickboxing, and it's clearly one of the deadliest form of karate. Well, except for in Tekken, where they also used a variation. I think they had a girl that did Shotokan at one point. And here's a bit of a fun fact: you ever play Alpha Protocol? Yeah, that Sega RPG MMO game. Yeah, so it was an RPG espionage game. But if you actually work on the martial arts segment of the game for your character, the martial arts that's actually used is Kempo Karate. Crazy, right? Like I said, karate is everywhere. And it's also highly respected too. All right, and here's another fun fact too. Karate combat is actually what we know here in the United States nowadays, but it actually was. But it actually took ideas from a program in France called Pro Fight Karate. So yeah, Pro Fight is actually like a big thing in Europe that actually originates from France, and they do a lot of this. They do a lot of like pro fight stuff all over the place too. I mean, they're actually even promoting actual old school jujitsu, not Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but old school jiu-jitsu before it was actually before it was introduced into karate, and before the Gracie family like did their own thing with it though, and made just a dominant ground game. No, it's actually it actually goes to the full stand-up mode when it comes to striking, and when it comes down to striking, grappling, and submissions, right? And that's true for old school jiu-jitsu. And if you look at the striking, it's all identical to karate in a sense. So when you watch it, you think it's karate? No, it's old school jiu-jitsu. I mean, keep this in mind. The karate gi was actually based off on jiu-jitsu's gi. Go figure, right? Karate, it's been around for over a couple hundred years and it's still going to be around to this day. Well, it's time for me to wrap this video up. Now, I need to ask, what was the karate style I studied back in the day? What was it? Well, I think long and hard, but I remembered a few things. The belt ranking system I highly remembered, certain stances, and of course the greeting, which was this. And after a long time, I realized the karate system I did back in the day was Kempo Karate. And I actually tried looking up some information if there was any Kempo Karate dojos nearby. There's actually a few. There's actually a couple of them too. So I've been thinking long and hard about going back to the martial arts training. And will I go back to it? I've been thinking about it long and hard, so I may go back to it. But the question is, can I go back to doing Kempo Karate? Well, it's been almost 30 years, so I think it's time for me to pick up where I left off and get my black belt. Why? Why not? You see, a few of the reasons why to this very day people choose to do karate, especially adults, for a few reasons: self-improvement, self-discipline, getting fitness, but also mental strength mental strength and mental stress. And when you're mentally that stressed, doing martial arts tends to put your mind at ease. So it's heavily stress relieving. And that's what karate is mostly used for, too. Stress relief. And you're learning how to do a martial arts system that's been around for a couple hundred years. And it's very effective. So, yeah. Will I go back to it? I may do that. Like I said, I may just do it. Hey, it's never too late, right? It's never too late to go back to an old martial arts system that you were once familiar with as a kid. Well, I've said my piece now. Karate is the most respected martial art in the world. I still like watching. I like karate a lot, and I highly respect it. So I'm probably gonna go back to training full time in karate. Now that I said that, maybe next time I'll talk about something a little bit different. Maybe more movie trailers. I mean, there's actually been more movie trailers that came out recently too. So I'll talk about movie trailers, and I'll talk about another subject which I really need to be honest about. I want to talk about dinosaurs. So those are the next couple of videos I'm going to talk about: trailers and dinosaurs. Thank you for listening to my rants, but thank you for listening to a subject which is one of my personal favorite subjects, the martial arts system of karate. This is Fearox Frank from Fearox Movie Reviews, signing out. Hope you all take care. Have yourself a good day and a good night. Night, y'all.